Hey everybody, Jeff aka GCurse here. Welcome to another episode of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries. We are at the end of episode number 4, ladies and gentlemen. I am currently covering all the episodes that were posted to YouTube, the Unsolved Mysteries YouTube page or YouTube channel. This is the end of episode 4, if I remember correctly. And let me just confirm it though. Let me just confirm. Yep, into episode 4. So we are on the Gail Delano case. This is actually a very tragic case, but before I get into that, let's check the weather. It is currently it is 9:19 on the 6th of April 2024. It is currently 42 degrees with rain, it looks like. Yep, 42 degrees with rain, feels like 41. Not much has changed. This is the second case that I posted today. The first one for today was the Joe Shepard case. So not much has changed. I'm just going to do a quick check on the dailies. I'm hoping to see some sun. Please let me see some sun. Rain, rain, rain. Okay, no, nothing changed for the next 2 days, so... But yeah, so with that out of the way, let's continue on, shall we? So this is a sad case of Gail Delano. Basically, I think this is good. This case is a good example of, making sure that your loved ones are mentally in a good place, that they're mentally, I don't want to say stable, but that they're just mentally okay, Gail Delano, apparently, it sounds like she was married. She may have, I think she divorced. Sadly, besides having her children, by the sounds of it, she was wanting companionship. And I'm guessing things just did not turn out for her. And sadly, she ended up taking her own life. This is a good example of making sure that somebody always has somebody, But we're going to get right to that after these commercials. Be right back.
Casper's Halloween special will return after these messages.
Yes, sir. This drive started over 100 years ago back in California. Just a few head of Levi's blue jeans and a lot of hard miles. Cross country that would have killed ordinary pants. But Levi's, they thrived on it. If anything, the herd got stronger and bigger. First there was kids' Levi's. Ornery little critters. Seems like nothing stops them. Then there was gals' pants and tops and skirts. Prettiest things you ever seen.
Casper's Halloween special will return after these messages.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. This is the portion of the show where I go to do the case viewing or case reading, however you want to call it. I will have my secretary, her name is Jasmine, she will read to us the case of Gail Delano. This is via the Unsolved Mysteries wiki, and once in a while I'll give you my thoughts and everything. This is actually a pretty sad case. It turned out, people originally thought that it was a murder case, that somebody murdered this poor woman, but sadly, that did not turn out to be what it actually was. Sometimes the road to get the answers that we're looking for is often very twisted. Okay, so let's switch over to this. Do this. Wait, hold on. Leave this and then do this. Okay. Okay, so let me do one quick thing. Okay, so I will actually read the opening information. So we have Gail Delano. Her real name was Gail Elizabeth Delano. The no known nicknames. The location was Westport Island, Maine. The date was June 21st, 1986. Occupation was graphologist. I'm guessing possibly like mapping or something. I'm not sure. Here, let's do a quick check. What is that? Sidebar. Graphology. Graphology is analysis of handwriting in an attempt to determine the writer's personality traits. Okay, so I was wrong. I thought it had something to do with like people who like draw maps and stuff. So I I was totally wrong. There, but that's what it is. It's people who study who analysis of handwriting and stuff. Maybe like for police departments or something. Okay, so her date of birth was December 4th, 1950. Her height ranged between 5'5", 5'6". Wow. I'm like 5'8.5", and I don't feel like I'm that tall. Apparently, I must be pretty tall. I don't think I am though. But her weight fluctuated between 130 to 140. She was divorced, white female with brown wavy hair, dark brown eyes. She suffers from clinical depression. This is what I was kind of talking about. Is like if you have a family member that you know is suffering, it's always best to always keep in contact with that person. Just make that person feel wanted, basically. Okay, so I'm going to select it, and then Jasmine will start reading for us.
Wiscasset, Maine, is a picturesque town of 3,000 people. Each year, vacationers go there to escape. But for 35-year-old Gail Delano, who lived there, this vacation paradise was a prison. She wrote about it in her diary. Maine seems to bring out the worst in me. I don't see an end to my loneliness. It just seems to go on forever. I need someone so desperately, but nothing seems to work. Gail was twice divorced and the mother of 2 teenage sons named Ryan and Tim. She looked for companionship in the personal ads of her local newspaper. When she placed them, she described herself exuberantly: unique female, 34, attractive, trim, intelligent, affectionate, independent, slightly crazy night owl. Likes music, movies, dance, dining. Seeks easygoing, intelligent, responsible, not overweight male for growing relationship. I'm in Wiscasset. Where are you?
What's wrong with overweight guys? Like, hey, everybody needs love. I'm an overweight dude, but anyway. This is kind of what I'm talking about. It's like, I think when it comes to relationships, there's two types of people. I think that once a person has a relationship and then it's over, I think that they may feel the need, like that they have that constant need for companionship after that. But for somebody who has never really had a relationship like that, being single, it isn't exactly easy, but it's more tolerable, I guess. I guess is the right word. That they can handle day-to-day life, being by themselves, whereas somebody who was in a relationship may need that constant support system, I guess you could say. Okay, but yeah, so it sounds like she was actually, she sounds like a very nice person, with talking about how she was a unique female, 34, attractive, trim, intelligent, affectionate, independent, slightly crazy, night owl, likes music, movies, dancing, dining. The only thing I gotta say is, like, you should not always judge the person by their looks. The person may be overweight, but you're just looking at the physical, aspect of them. What about their personality? Like, I'll openly admit I'm overweight, as you guys can tell. However, I have a very strong work ethic. I prefer to work year round if I could, with occasional breaks like what I had, like a week or 2 weeks or whatever for time off. But just don't look at people based on how they, or judge them based on how they look, because like I said, like myself, I'm highly work driven. So. But yeah, so anyway, let's continue on.
On June 21st, 1986, Gail drove to a restaurant in Brunswick, Maine, to meet a blind date. Her family never saw or heard from her again. Despite the tone of her personal ads, she was shy and withdrawn. For her, placing them was an act of courage. It was also an act of hope. Her last diary entry read, "It would be nice to find someone to date over the summer." Who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky and find someone interesting. She was searching not only for companionship, but also for a father figure for her two boys. Her desperate need to find love placed her in the center of an unsolved mystery.
Mystery. Sorry, unsolved mystery. That's what the program failed to read out. Guys, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but it's true. It's just how the human male's mind is worked or wired, I guess. A lot of times, guys do not want to take on right away, at least. Uh, a father role, especially if they don't have any kids, especially that are not theirs. It takes some time to. I would say the best way is best term would be to acclimate them. You go to a guy on a blind date and go, "Hey, I have a couple kids. Do you want to be their father?" or something along that line. I'm pretty sure that's going to scare off the guys. Now, I'm not sure that's what she actually said to them, but the fact is, by the sounds of it, she may have talked to them about having kids and like a long-term relationship, and that could have scared off the guys that she was courting, basically. I'm not saying all guys do not want a family. They do, but like I said, I think it takes time. If you start off building the foundation, basically, and then as you slowly advance the relationship, they're going to realize that they're going when they get it with the wife or the girlfriend or whatever, and they get married, they're also going to have the child. I think that way it's a lot easier for the guy to slowly get used to it. Whereas if she's coming in like with a hammer and saying, "Hey, I'm lonely, I have kids," and everything, I think that could ultimately scare away the guys. But by the sounds of it, like I said earlier, I think with her being divorced twice, I think she grew accustomed to wanting or even possibly needing the companionship that she would have from the guys and everything. I'm not talking about it isn't just a strictly sexual thing. I'm talking about literally like it is with our parents. You're used to having that presence, and then when it's gone, that's when it really starts to hit you. If that makes any kind of sense, that I'm trying to make. I'm not sure if it is, but that's the way I'm imagining it. It's like you get used to a certain type of presences. And I think she was depending on how long she was married for. Also, she could have been really used to having that constant presence in her life, and then when it was gone, she did not honestly know how to go day to day. Okay.
According to Ryan and Tim, on Friday evening, June 20th, 1986, Gail had a 2.5-hour telephone conversation with a man named John. They assumed that she had met him through the personal ads. The next morning, she told them she planned to have coffee with him at the Howard Johnson's in Brunswick. If things went well, she planned to spend the afternoon with him. That night, Ryan returned home from a friend's house. He discovered that Gail was not home. He was concerned, but not alarmed. When she did not return home the next night, her family called the police. By that point, it had been 37 hours from the time she had left home to meet her date. Police immediately searched the Howard Johnson's parking lot and located her car, a 1980 Toyota Tercel. At that point, there was no indication of foul play. They considered it a case of an adult woman who had gone out and spent the night. They learned that it was not unusual for her to do so. However, it was unusual for her to do so without calling her
family. Okay, to kind of give a little bit more insight to the way I think. I was talking about how people who were in relationships that end and everything, that they're used to that presence. I think it can also affect people on the other end of the spectrum, the people who were never in a relationship. I'll be honest, like myself. Basically, the longer you are not in a relationship, the harder it is, I think, to actually start making that jump. Whereas, I think it's because people who are not in a relationship, they get used to that independence. And it's kind of like a drug, honestly. It's a drug. And once you get into a relationship, that drug is gone. You are now no longer just independent. You're if something goes wrong, it's ultimately your fault. It's ultimately your fault. But if you're in a relationship, basically, it's like two halves. God, I'm not even sure. I never admitted that I'm a relationship expert. I am just giving you my thoughts. So if you came to this video watching this expecting some sort of higher level, like, earth-shattering revelations about human relationships, why are you watching this video for that? Anyway, but yeah, so that's just my thoughts. Like I said, I think both ends, there are pitfalls to both ends. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's go down to here.
Why? Gail's father, Platt Montfort, knew something was wrong because she always let Ryan and Tim know where she was. Her family was forced to wait until 11 a.m. on Monday morning to have her officially declared a missing person. Only then could the police search her car. Her family hoped that she had left a note behind explaining her whereabouts and naming the person she had gone on a date with. However, nothing of importance was found in her car. Gail's mother, Betty Montfort, said that she would normally tell her the first and last name of the person she was going on a date with, along with where he was from. However, on this particular occasion, she did not give her that information. Betty spoke to her earlier that afternoon. She said that she had a feeling that she was going to have a date and that she was going to be happy and have fun that weekend. It turned out to be the last time Betty spoke to her, sorry. Her. 2 hours after the police had removed Gail's car, a Howard Johnson's busboy made a startling discovery: a set of keys in the parking spot where her car had been parked. Betty identified them as Gail's. According to her, she never went anywhere without them. She said that they would have had to hurt or kill her to get her away from them. She knew that something bad had happened to her. 2 weeks later, a 9-year-old boy playing on the other side of the Howard Johnsons made a second startling discovery: Gail's purse. After Gail's purse was discovered, detectives began to suspect that foul play was involved in her disappearance. Betty said that she never would have been separated from her purse unless someone attacked her and dragged her away. Detectives examined her purse and noticed that it was neat and orderly inside. It appeared that it had not been rifled through by anyone looking for money or valuables. Curiously, while it appeared untouched, there was no money in it. Even the emergency dollar USD 5 bill that Gail always kept tucked in a secret compartment was
missing. Okay, see, this is the one thing that has me kind of confused. Let's see here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Okay, set of keys were in the parking lot. Let's see, identified as Gail's, basically her car keys. Okay, hold on. How is it that people that were searching the area of where her car was did not recognize, see those keys? Every morning I go to work when I take my car. I drive the car 2 or 3 times a week when I go to the bus stop when I commute to work. I mainly do that because, number one, it was my mom's car, and number two, I like to keep the battery charged. Every time I drive that car, or I get ready to drive that car, I will walk around the vehicle and I will make sure everything is okay. I make sure that the tires are inflated. I make sure that there's nothing wrong externally with the vehicle. You would think that people who are looking for a missing woman would have done the same thing. That would, possibly, get down on the ground and look underneath the car, not just for keys possibly, but see if the car was there, for a while, that means the ground would be dry. If they see a puddle there and it looks fresh, then they could possibly think, well, the car was having mechanical issues. Maybe she went to go get help and that's why she disappeared. How is it that nobody noticed keys? Now, I think they mentioned that the keys could have been placed on the wheel, for hiding or whatever. I don't understand why you'd put it in the wheel, though, on the wheel. But you'd think that if she did that as people are looking at the vehicle, that they would notice a fucking shiny silver-colored key to a car. It's just like, how did they miss that? How did they miss that? Okay.
Missing. Using a date book they found in Gail's purse, detectives compiled a list of the men that she might have dated in the last year. One of them was a man named John from Old Orchard Beach. He swore he had never dated her. He said the only time he might have talked to her on the phone was months before she disappeared. He had a rock-solid alibi for the day she did so. So did all the other men the police questioned. The police were totally baffled. Gail kept detailed records of the men who responded to her ads, yet there was no record of one named John in her files, who had called her and talked for 2.5 hours the night before she disappeared. Why were her keys found in exactly the parking spot where her car had been parked? Why was her purse found on the other side of the Howard Johnsons, apparently untouched, but with no money in it? Were her keys and purse discarded by her unknown attacker? Or is it possible she placed them there herself? A new theory about Gail's disappearance emerged when police interviewed a local late-night disc jockey named Kristen Roy. He said that she would often call sometime after 1 a.m. just to talk and go on in general about life experiences. Finally, one day, she asked if he would like to meet her. According to him, she always seemed to be very sad or depressed, almost to the point of not being able to move. He always felt that she was going to one day give up and cease
to exist. And this kind of goes back to what I was talking about with depression and the need to have that constant presence in her life because she was married twice. It's sad. We live in a society where we believe we can literally tell how a person's feeling, and everything. But when obviously a person is having difficulties, nobody can really pick up on it. The only person that seems to have really been able to pick up anything was the disc jockey who, she only talked to every now and then. Let's see here. Yeah, he said that, she was going to it sounds like she was always going to give up or cease to exist. It's like, like I said, for as advanced as we are as a society, we still suck at being able to tell how somebody is feeling. Okay, let's go down to here. Oh, hold on. There we go. Go down to here.
to exist. For years, Gail had struggled with depression and had been on medication for it. Several times, she had considered taking her own life and talked about it with her sister, Susan Monfort. Her family reluctantly considered whether her disappearance might have been a suicide. It was noted that she was unemployed, living on welfare, and her trailer had been destroyed by a fire 2 years before she disappeared. However, Susan does not believe that she committed suicide. She does not believe that she would have left her family and let them go through the pain and uncertainty that they have been through. She believes that she is out there somewhere, possibly suffering amnesia. With the help of truck drivers, Gail's family distributed missing posters throughout the eastern United States. On Friday, August 14th, 1987, over a year after she disappeared, truck driver John Scott of Swansea, South Carolina, spotted one in a Georgia truck stop and called the police. He recognized her as someone he had given a ride to several MO.
Several months earlier. Now, I can't recall exactly what case it was. Oh, I think it was the Kurt McFall case, if I remember correctly, that I recently covered. It's kind of like, oh, come on. Let's get this there. This is kind of the same thing I kind of mentioned in the Kurt McFall case. When we lose a loved one, we always try to find reasoning behind it. And the most common thing that we like to do is we always fall back to the idea that somebody caused, that person to die. So basically murder, in other words. It's easier for us to wrap our head around that. That person took our loved one. That person took our loved one. You took our loved one. It's easier to do that than to try and contemplate the idea that that person sadly just lost hope. Because by having to admit that our loved one lost hope and they committed suicide, it forces us to look at ourselves and be like, holy shit, we may have let our family member down, and because we weren't as attentive as we should have been, it cost us the loss of a loved one. It's easier to put a face, with on a suicide and try to label it as a murder than it is to basically kind of have to face face reality, and that your loved one committed suicide, that the life to them was just so hard that they could not move on, basically. And what is it with all these guys named John? She said there was the guy that she was talking to was named John. They found a John, but apparently he wasn't the one. He had a rock solid alibi. And then there was John, the truck driver. Holy shit! I thought Jeff was a very common name. Apparently John is too, because I remember when I was in high school. I had one class, I shit you not, there were 3 Jeffs. There was me, another Jeff named Jeff Friley or something like that, and a Jeff named Jeff Williams. So I thought for sure that Jeff was a common name, but apparently John is. Apparently John on the west or east coast, you throw a, if you're like trying to throw I don't know what a good analogy would be. Like, you toss a quarter into an audience or something. On the East Coast, apparently, if it hits a person, odds are their name is probably going to be John. I know that was a shit analogy. I apologize. Okay.
HS earlier.
Oh, come on.
John said that he was with the woman for about 24 hours. She did not talk very much. He said that when she did do so, she spoke with a northern accent. He recalled that she was dressed very neat, unlike the hitchhikers he would normally pick up. Detectives asked him if he noticed if she was on any medication. He said that he did notice some pill bottles in her purse. However, he did not know what was in them. They next asked him how sure he felt that she was Gail. He said that he would bet money on it. John's story suggested another possibility, that Gail had engineered her own disappearance from the Howard Johnsons. Detectives suspected that she could have told Ryan and Tim a fake story about going on a date, gone to the Howard Johnsons, parked her car, either concealed her keys under it or tossed them under it, thrown her purse in the bushes, and then caught a ride with somebody leaving the Howard Johnsons area or a truck driver low.
Or a truck driver leaving the area is what, this said. Well, they were partially correct. They were partially correct. Sadly, the outcome was not exactly what, if I remember correctly, what their original conclusion was, though. Okay.
Leaving the area. Kristen, however, does not believe that Gail had it together enough or was brave enough or sure of herself enough to just pack it up and head for another part of the country without telling anyone what she was doing. He said that her family could not even get her out to go for a Sunday drive, get ice cream, or go to a restaurant. Betty believes that it is possible she may have voluntarily left, but she fears that she is wandering somewhere, unaware of her identity and needing help. Betty said that she wants Gail to know that if she is well and happy, she does not have to come home. They just want to know that she is alive and safe. Her family is no closer to the truth than they were on the day she disappeared. Was she the victim of foul play? Or is she wandering somewhere, unaware of her own identity? Or could the blind date with John merely have been an elaborate ruse she concocted to cover up her own disappearance? In Gail's diary, she wrote, "The only thing I want is to find a man to share my life. I know I'm lonely and tired of doing it all by myself. Time is becoming a big enemy to me. To say it passes slowly is a laugh. For me, it seems to stand still." When John Scott last saw the woman he thinks is Gail, she was headed for Abilene, Texas,
Along route U.S. Hold on. Along route U.S. Route 20. Sorry, getting a little bit tongue-tied there. Okay, so suspects. The man named John, whom Gail was supposed to go on a date with, is considered a possible suspect, but he remains unidentified. Police questioned several men who were in her date book, but all were ruled out. Extra notes. This case first aired on the October 5th, 1988 episode, and it was updated on the November 16th, 1988 episode. It was submitted to the show by Gail's family. Some sources state that Gail was from Westport Island, while others state that she was from Wincasset. Some sources incorrectly state that Gail was 34 or 36 when she disappeared. Okay, so I'll have Jasmine read this.
Solved. The 2.5-year search for Gail came to an end in Mobile, Alabama. Tragically, it was discovered that she took her own life shortly after she disappeared. A forensic administrator named Chuck Elliott watched the broadcast and recognized her as a woman who had died in a local hotel room in 1986. When he saw her photograph, he immediately saw the resemblance between her and the unidentified woman that they had in their laboratory. After 2 weeks of forensic tests, which included a comparison of dental records, a positive identification was made. Police now theorize that Gail orchestrated her own disappearance. They believe that, after she drove to the Howard Johnsons, she hid her keys somewhere on her car, removed all the money from her purse, discarded it, and then flew to Mobile. That evening, between 10 and 11 p.m., she checked into the Hilton, where she registered under the name Jackie Stafford of San Diego and paid for 2 nights. 3 days later, police discovered her body. She had died of a drug overdose. A bag of prescription drugs found in the room matched those prescribed for her, some of them for depression. On November 11th, 1988, her family held a memorial service for her in Brunswick. On June 8th, 2005, Gail's father, Platt, passed away at the age of 84. Tragically, in September 2021, her son, Tim, committed suicide at the age of 50 TW.
52, I'm sorry about that. 52 years of age. It's sad. Not only did, his mom commit suicide, he ended up committing suicide also. This kind of loops back to what I was saying in the very beginning of this video. We got to make sure that our loved ones are okay, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pretty sure in her mind, in Gail's mind, what she was doing was making total sense to her. But I'd make you a bet, if she was to sit down at a table in front of her family and she was to lay out her ideas, even though in her head the ideas make total sense to her, I'm pretty sure her family would be totally confused and kind of scared shitless if they she told them what she was planning. I think honestly in her head she thought that by doing this that possibly somehow she was going to be rescued. And in her head, she could possibly spin it that somebody hurt her. Now, like I said, this is just my theory, so I'm not saying it's fact or anything. But she could possibly say that, somebody hurt her. And then she would hope that by doing this, that it would get, a guy's attention. Like, oh my God, this is such a nice lady. Somebody wanted to hurt her. And in her head, that possibly, it could lead to a relationship, possibly. But sadly, as we all heard, that was not the case. That ultimately she ended up passing away. Now, that's just my theory. I'm not saying my theory is fact or anything. It's just what I think. For all I know, I could be dead wrong, and she could have just wanted to end her life. Either way, it is very sad because of the fact that by her ending her life like this, she left her two children who loved her. She left her mom who loved her. She left a lot of people behind with the wreckage, basically, that they were having to try to clean up everything after the loss of their loved one. Okay, we have Gail Delano at Find a Grave. Let's take a look at that. And I just want to say thank you to Jasmine for helping with this. We will see her for the first case of episode 5 whenever that airs. So thank you very much, Jasmine. You are relieved of duty. Okay, so Gail Elizabeth Monfort Delano. Date of birth was December 4th, 1950 in Huntington Station, Suffolk County, New York, USA. Wait, Huntington Station, like a train station? Hold on, I'm kind of curious about that. Hold on, let me check something. I'm just curious if I can find some information about this. Search the web. See if we can get anything. Because that is very odd, like an odd place. If it even pulls it up. Hold on, let me go back here. Hold on. Okay, there you go. Huntington Station, New York. Apparently it's a town. It's just called Station. For some reason, I thought it was like a train station. I'm like, oh, was she born in the train station? I thought that would have been weird, Or I don't want to say weird in a bad way, just weird. Like, you never hear of people being born in train stations. It's always like a hospital or at home or something. Okay. So, date of death was June 21st, 1986. She was 35 years old. Location was Mobile. The program read that as Mobile, but I think it's pronounced Mobile. County, USA, or Alabama, USA. She was cremated. Let's see here. Family. Her parents were John Platt Monfort, basically her father, And then she had 2 children, but only one is listed here. Tim A. Montfort, 1969 to 2021. Okay, here's a nice photo of Gail. You know, the thing is, we can look at a picture and see, like she's smiling, so we think, oh, she's, she must have been real happy. We only see what the picture allows us to see. Pictures do not allow us to look beyond the veil, basically. So even though she's smiling, I don't know when this was taken, but this could have been when she was really having problems. Even though she is smiling, and internally she could be destroyed for all we know. Because I remember a time, it was right after Mom died, and I took a week off of work because my job is very, they're very kind. They give you bereavement leave. It's a week long. After that first week, I was back at work. A lot of people were shocked, like, Jeff, you should be back. You should be at home. Like, I could not stay in this apartment any longer because at the time, the wound was so fresh, and everything. But every day I had to put on a smile. I would smile when I got to work. I would walk past where the secretary is. I would smile. I'd say hello. And, coworkers would look at me and smile and say hello. And I'd smile and say hello back. But on the inside, I felt fucking dead. I was dead. And I was like that for nearly a full year. Once in a while, I can look back and think about my mom passing away, and it does, make me feel sad, But the times of that happening, it's getting further and further apart. I can now simply look back at my mom and think about how nice of a person she was, and I did that also right after she passed away. But it was really hard because the emotions were so fucking raw, like every time I would, even when I wanted to think the best of my mom, how happy she was, how much, how nice she was to everybody, the first thing that clicked in my mind was seeing her when she was dead, and like I said, it really messed me up. I'm trying to see something. I don't know where it went. Earlier, there was a huge fucking spider on the wall back there. I was seeing if I could figure out where it went. I haven't actually seen a spider in this apartment in over a year. I was kind of shocked. I thought oddly maybe all spiders are dead or something. But anyway, yeah. So like I said, I can look back now and I can smile. I can smile. The thought of my mom. I can I can smile at the fact that wherever she is, that she's most likely very happy and at peace, Okay, but like I said, it's just, we can't tell how a person is really feeling, like, just, by a picture or if somebody is smiling, Oh, okay. I was like, what the hell is this? Okay, I don't know why this is here, though, but okay. Okay, so that is about it. Here, let's switch this over. So that was the very tragic case of Gail Delano. This is a good example of making sure that our loved ones are okay. Because no matter what, they may say that they're okay, but sometimes we have to kind of poke and prod a little bit to really see what is going on. And the thing is, I personally want to believe that even if they're feeling bad and they're pushing you away, they're secretly wanting that help, But that is about it. So when I return, it will be with my final thoughts. Stay tuned and I'll be right back.
Reach out and touch someone. Talk about the little things that mean so much to you, like curly heads and curly tails and Sundays afternoon. Reach out and touch someone. Grandma is tongue-tied.
Reach out and touch someone far away. Give them a call.
New gravy train? New gravy train?
New gravy train? Yeah, you guys will love it.
Looks meatier.
Darn right.
And it's got a richer, thicker gravy, too.
No kidding.
Look, unlike most dry dog foods, New Gravy Train makes a thick, rich gravy that makes every meaty taste and bite real juicy and tender.
Richer gravy. Thicker, too. Tastes great.
New Gravy Train dog food with richer, thicker gravy.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. This is the time of my final thoughts. Basically, me just giving you my thoughts. This is a very sad case because even when I was younger, I thought for sure somebody killed her. That this was one of those tragic cases that you have somebody who is desperate to find their happy ever after. Even though now, as I got this older, I've kind of realized there is no such thing as a happily ever after. There just isn't. But when I was younger, I was stupid. I thought that this was one of those tragic cases that she was trying to find her Prince Charming. And ultimately it led to her death. It wasn't until, when the truth came out that I learned that not everything is as it seems. I strongly suggest that if you have a family member and you even suspect that something is wrong with them, talk to them. You got to keep them talking. You cannot let them fall into that pit. Because once they're in that pit, it's real hard to help them get out of that pit. But yeah, if you ever think that there is, that your loved one is in trouble, there is help out there. There are doctors, there are counselors, there is the National Suicide Hotline. I strongly suggest that you use any resource you can to try and make sure that your loved one can make it from day to day. Okay, so that is it for the case of Gail Delano, and that means we are done with episode 4 of season 1. I am going to post in the description the link to the Unsolved Mysteries video of Gail Delano on YouTube. I'm going to post the link to the Unsolved Mysteries wiki of Gail Delano, and I'll also post my the link to my Unsolved Mysteries commentary of Gail Delano, so you guys can have a nice overall batch of information. But until next time, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you in the near future for the start of episode 5 of season 1. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse, wishing you all a great day. Stay safe, everybody. Peace out.